Are you looking to stay informed about what's going on in Madison without the media spin? Well, here's the latest news from the Wisconsin Assembly Chambers brought right into your home, directly from the office of your representative, who truly values his constituents' feedback and in always working hard on the issues that matter to you. Welcome to the Ramthun Report.
Hello fellow patriots, I'm Tristan, and let's get you updated on what happened this week here in Madison. This week's hot topics include the latest proposals and tax-related issues from the Ways and Means Committee, a quick budget breakdown, and the latest news regarding the prohibition on mandatory vaccines in the Constitution and Ethics Committee, and an update on our latest push for term limits. So let's hear what Representative Ramthun has to say on the latest tax reforms from the Ways and Means Committee.
Good morning, everybody. Today is Tuesday, March 2nd. We had a Ways and Means Committee hearing this morning. I'd like to give you a quick debrief on the State of Wisconsin Investment Board presented to us a very robust retirement system for the state of Wisconsin. It is the #1 retirement system in the United States right now. We have $144 billion worth of assets that are spearheaded by this group, and we have the best and only one that's fully funded for public employee retirements in this state. So congratulations to our state and to our organization. We had 3 bills that we entertained in public hearing today. Assembly Bill 18 is adopting federal law changes to extend the time for filing individual income tax returns. I co-sponsored on this bill. AB 56 is a distribution of aid payment for personal property upon termination of a tax incremental district. I support this bill. I'm not going to co-sponsor it, but it probably will pass unanimously in the Ways and Means in 2 weeks. And speaking of 2 weeks, we're also going to look at Assembly Bill 39, which I'm very involved in. Basically, AB 16 was merged into AB 39, and I'm also the author of an amendment that we need to do to make this golden. But we're looking to exempt military income received by active duty members of the U.S. Armed Forces and sunsetting the Armed Forces member tax credit. Bottom line, anybody who serves in the military, any branch, any type of service, when you're active duty, you don't pay tax. So you don't have to move out of the state of Wisconsin so that you don't have to pay state income tax. We're going to have it so you can stay here in Wisconsin and serve and still have that benefit.
We're happy to see some talk about tax cuts and helping our armed service members. Now let's take a look at what else needs some cutting, as Representative Ramthun gives us a quick budget breakdown.
Good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, March 3rd. I wanted to take a moment this morning to show you and talk briefly about the state budget. When the governor gave his budget address last week, he basically spoke at elements that are in this 1,846 pages. 1,846 pages. I'm up to the first year's worth, 365 pages. But that's the bill. AB 68 is the bill. I've got additional information from the Legislative Review Bureau, analysis of the executive budget, the budget in brief, which I will definitely analyze, and tax exemption devices, which I also want to look at because I want to make sure we're doing the right thing, and taxing less would be better. The executive budget remains in its binder, its plastic cover. Probably won't open that because I don't think this 1,846 pages is going to be utilized in any regard. I think the Joint Finance Committee will come back and do something probably 1/3 as much. Last year's budget was 1,200 pages submitted by the governor, and the JFC whittled that down to 500. So I think the volume and the programs and the appropriations is going to get shrunk by at least 60 to 65%. So I'll go through this and look for things that are prudent to address, but for the most part, I look to see our JFC build something from scratch that's good for the people of Wisconsin, good for the taxpayers, and good for our continued ability to stay in the black financially. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
That's quite a stack of paper there. It gives us some peace of mind to know that we've got processes in place to keep our taxes from going up. Next, we can address what happened in the Constitution and Ethics Committee and hear Representative Ramthun talk about prohibiting mandatory vaccination.
Just taking a minute here this morning on Thursday, the 4th of March, to give you a brief recap from yesterday's very fruitful day. We had a Constitution and Ethics Committee hearing yesterday that lasted 7 hours and 50 minutes. So roughly 8 hours of the day was spent on talking about 4 items. We had a resolution discussion on the Convention of States, Article 5 Convention of States, a very fruitful situation, I think a couple of 2.5 hours perhaps. And then we rolled into Assembly Bill 23, 24, and 25. 23 talks at prohibiting government officials from mandating vaccinations regarding the COVID-19. Assembly Bill 24 talks at closure of and forbidding gatherings in places of worship. And last but not least, prohibiting mandatory vaccination for employment. I'm a supporter of all three of these bills as well. Again, 8 hours of very, very healthy discussion, and very few people. We had some concern about the Convention of States element of the Article 5. Some were proposing, the John Birch Society was proposing Article 6. I think if you take a look at both of them, you'll see that there is merit perhaps in both, but in my opinion, I like the leverage that Article 5 gives us to do the right thing, gives the power to the states to help be at the table for discussion at the federal level. So a very long day, very fruitful day, very exciting day. I wanted to give you an update. So if you have any questions, give the office a call. Thanks much. Have a great day. Bye now.
It's a relief to hear that there are people that fight for your rights and are trying to limit the powers of the government. On that note, here's Jared to inform you on the latest push for term limits and what we are doing to keep the power in the hands of the people.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to give you a quick update on some initiatives that Representative Ramthun is supporting and working on himself. Both of them are joint resolutions. Now, joint resolutions are a little different than bills. They don't require a signature by the governor, but they don't have the authority of law behind them. They're basically the legislature expressing its will and desires. Now, the first resolution I want to talk about is Assembly Joint Resolution 9, and that's being brought by Representative Dan Knodel. Now, what AJR 9 does is it petitions Congress to call a Article 5 Convention of the States for the purpose of proposing 3 constitutional amendments. Now, real quick, those amendments would be requiring the federal government to have a balanced budget, imposing limits on the power and scope of the federal government, and imposing term limits on Congress and federal officials. Now, Representative Ramthun and Senator Strobel are actually working on another joint resolution which focuses more on the term limits aspect for Congress and federal officials, and we believe that those two joint resolutions work very well together. Well, that's all I have for you now. Tune in next time for more.
This concludes this week's episode of the Ramthun Report. Don't forget to voice your choice in our weekly vote, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with your fellow patriots. Click the links below if you'd like to give us your thoughts on these topics, find more information on any of the bills we discussed, visit our website, or follow Representative Ramthun's Facebook. Thank you for staying informed and engaged, and we'll see you next week. God bless.